Season 53, War number 8, and we're up against Who. And this time my team will be Odin, Shathra and Omega Sentinel. I will be taking path 5 in section 1, path 2 in section 2, then a bishop, Serpent, as well as an Adam Warlock mini-boss, and that will be it for this war. So once again a bit of a shorter war, not as many fights, but I am taking a few fights as well as a path that I don't usually touch, mainly the path 2 in section 2. But starting off here we have a Prowler on the event for knockdown and right back added nodes, and I will be taking this fight with Shathra. Now Shathra doesn't really have anything to counter Prowler in, well, any meaningful way, but you don't really need a counter to him in the first place. The main thing you need to worry about is the falter when trying to punish his specials, and so long as you remember that and simply don't attempt to punish the specials, you should be fine enough. The specials are easy enough to avoid as is. The special 2 slightly more difficult and risky if you miss the dex on the first projectile, but overall not too bad. And talking about punishing his specials, I have no idea why I tried to go for it there with that heavy attack, but I did, and it did not work out in my favor. I did get hit, and that will cost me some potions, but luckily it was only a few hits and not a special or anything of the sort. Well, I guess it couldn't have been a special since I was just baiting and punishing one. Either way, the fight is essentially over at this point. One more special one here, and down he goes. Not a clean fight by any means, but Shathra made it work well enough. If you ignore the mistake that I did at the start, the fight would have been very simple and straightforward. Now, a quick heal up here, and then on to the next fight. A Havok on the event floor knockdown and heavy hitter nodes, and I will be taking this fight with Omega Sentinel. Now, going in here, I figured I should be fine without throwing on the recoil masteries. The fight shouldn't take all that much longer, and if I can do this without the recoil masteries, I save roughly 70 units or so. And yeah, I probably should not have done that. Now, before we get in, I just had to make sure that the pre-fights actually stick, because I will need to have them on, or I guess at least one of them on for the Mr. Sinister in section 2. So to make sure it sticks, I quit out of the war map, reloaded it, and now went back in. So, this Havok here, all in all, it is just the normal Havok on the heavy hitter node. Nothing too special. There is the defense tactic to worry about, but Omega Sentinel handles that well enough with her heal blocks. And the game plan is the usual: save for a special 3, and then drop that for the plasma divas, let them do as much damage as they can before the event flow protection comes back and purifies them, and then just repeat if necessary. And yeah, I underestimated the difference that the recoil masteries actually have for this specific matchup, and yeah, this one's gonna take a while. Next time, definitely gonna cough up this 70 units if necessary, and just doing the mastery change, it's a lot safer that way than, well, fighting the same fight that can go wrong at any moment if you drop the heal block and have the power gain effect on the defender. And yeah, fighting a fight like that for like 4 minutes, it's not ideal. And yeah, we're not winning on fight times, partly due to decisions like this, so I am not gonna ignore that fact. Anyways, the fight itself isn't really too difficult to manage, though you do need to keep a close eye on those heal block debuffs. If you drop them, you need to reapply them as soon as possible, so that the power gain will never get out of hand. Because if it does, and Havok gets to a special 3, there's not much you can do to save yourself at that point. Now, so far, the fight has gone pretty cleanly. I did have some issues and I did get cornered at one point, but I was able to escape it well enough, and noticing the lack of damage with the special 3 rotation, I switched to spamming special 2s. It gets me the knockdown faster, so I can utilize the passive fury, as well as the time when the opponent doesn't have the protection. Allows me to take the fight a little bit faster, and since I am not running recoil at the moment, there will not be any unnecessary health loss from spamming specials either, so figured that would be the way to go going forward. At this point the fight would have been over a long time ago had I just put the recoil masteries on, so definitely my mistake. But regardless, I am still dealing with it well enough, and I am not in a risk of timing out or even dying at this point. The plasmas from the special 2 were enough to finish out the fight, and yeah, it's a very slow one, and I will definitely make some changes moving forward and make sure I use the proper masteries, because that kinda sucked. And then we have an Onslaught here on the Personal Space Placebo and Centrifuge knockdown nodes. I never take this path, so I don't remember these off the top of my head, but I will be taking the fight with Shathra. Shathra does not counter Onslaught in any meaningful way either, but basically anyone who's not metal and doesn't inflict any of the specific DOT debuffs, they work for Onslaught so long as you play against him properly. Bait the specials, dex them properly, don't eat them, don't parry, and just do your champion's normal damage rotation, and that's usually enough to take the guy down. The nodes on this specific Onslaught don't really do anything either, since there's nothing really punishing you for getting any buffs here, and since Onslaught is not a Mystic champion, as they usually place here, Mystic Dispersion is not really, well, a thing here, so overall it's basically just a nodeless Onslaught that just gives you a tiny damage boost whenever you knock him down with that 10% Fury buff. Then we have the Mr. Sinister here on the EMP modification and whatever else this had on. It has placebos as well as the node that gives him power whenever buffs expire, I believe. Regardless, I will be taking this fight with Omega Sentinel, this time with the right masteries. I have the heal block pre-fight to make sure that I can deal with the defense tactic as well as Sinister's personal regeneration, and then I have that Odin's shock resistance pre-fight to allow me to tank the passive shock damage from all of those shocks from the EMP mod node. As you can see, the damage is very minimal, and essentially I don't have to worry about it at all here. I will need to use a potion afterwards since I still do have an Omega Sentinel fight, but at the very least I'm not dying to the shock damage, and that's all I can really ask for. Now, I got extremely unlucky in this fight, looking at the genetic codes that this Sinister started with. Rolling 2 Mystics for increased combat power rate is very bad, because that means he's just gonna be spamming specials left and right, and the risk of him getting to a special 3 is even higher. But to play this one safe, I did use an invulnerability boost, which I already consumed one hit off of it by eating a heavy attack at the very start of the fight. But overall, due to that, I am safe to even push the guy to a special 3 if necessary. After I got the plasmas with the special 3, all I had to do was make sure he doesn't get to throw a special 1, while it wouldn't transfer them into degenerations, it would still remove the plasma debuffs off of himself, and I would lose my damage output in the process as well. Overall, Omega Sentinel made quick work of him, and it's a safe option, provided you can have the Odin pre-fights on it. Without them, I would not recommend it. And then we have the usual Bishop on the Power Snack and 1 too many hits miniboss node, and I will be taking the fight with Omega Sentinel. This one always sucks to take, because Omega Sentinel in general does not work too well for a Bishop, and then there's also the Power Sting damage I will be taking, as well as the unpredictable AI that Bishop has. Sometimes he just decides to spam those specials into your block, special ones namely, which will... well, it would be a problem whenever it happens, but this time around it's been nice enough. Now, I still for some reason can't consistently dex this guy special 2. I don't know what it is, but I still have the invulnerability boost active from the previous fight, so tanking the last hit of the special 2 beam is not really a problem. Now to close out this fight I don't need to worry about my health too much, so I will be tanking some of the power sting here. It's fine. This is the final fight with Omega Sentinel, so I don't have to use any potions. I don't need to worry about it, so long as I don't die in the fight. It's okay, and I couldn't care less, honestly. Now with the special 3 I got the Plasma Sun. The damage kinda sucks because of Bishop's high energy resistance, but it is still extra damage for you, so might as well throw it whenever possible. One more special 2 dex here and I mess it up again. I eat the last hit, but the boost saves me and I live to fight another day. So far this season I've only died once, but we'll see how well that lasts throughout the final wars. I'm not gonna give any spoilers, but there's gonna be some interesting fights at the very least. And then, next up we have another Serpent on the Mega Stand and when I open Miniboss node, and I will be taking this fight with Shathra, of course. Now I went ahead and removed the recoil masteries for this, for obvious reasons. Having MD on strengthens Shathra's power steal on the heavy attack quite a bit, so that is very useful. And also I don't really want to be melting from the poison here, if I don't have to. So, going in, instead of using an invulnerability boost for this one, I went ahead and used an advanced power boost to get that special one off early for the atrophy, so I can control Serpent's power gains, as well as any other buffs that he might have, which I really don't think there are any others with a duration other than the death immunity, now that I think about it, but just having it for the power gains is good enough, and that's basically all you need. With the atrophy up, all you really need to do at that point is just keep spamming specials often enough so that you keep reapplying it, and, well, you don't necessarily need to have it up the whole fight, but having it for the death immunity is essentially the one thing you need to do here. Now, again there is the bug that allows Shathra to ignore the special 2 hits on Serpent special 2, but I'm not a fan of using that. I haven't practiced it at all, so just not taking the risk here, playing it safe and steady by baiting the special once over and over. And essentially this is how you should do the fight regardless, because if you get too used to abusing bugs, then whenever they get fixed, you're not gonna be prepared for it and it can cause some issues. So here, just doing the normal Shathra rotation, watching out for the fear debuff so that it doesn't shut down the unblockable on my special 2. And now Serpent is at 3%, just got the protection back, so I go for a knockdown with my special 1. Honestly a bit of a mistiming on my part, but I managed to close out the fight without baiting another special. Fight goes down, I did take a combo at some point, so it wasn't clean, but Shathra still made quick enough work of the fight that I would consider her a great option. Still wouldn't be better than a Sim Supreme for example, but we can't always fit him in the map, and since Shathra works, might as well get some use for her as well. And honestly I'm having fun with it, so that's something at least. And then we have the final fight of the war, and Adam Warlock on the I keep forgetting the names of nodes. Power efficiency and missing in action miniboss node, and I am taking the fight with Shathra. Still have the advanced power boost active from the previous fight, so I get my first special one off early. And now at this point all I really need is just get the special 2 here, but I couldn't quite time it properly with the falter, so went ahead and threw the special 1 there to transfer it, then made another special heavy charge into a special 2, is almost dead, triggered the pod, so what I do here is bait one more special 1, heavy charge, special 2, while faltered. It doesn't matter, her damage doesn't come from hitting the opponent, it comes from simply having wasps on the defender whenever you throw specials. So the special, it will whiff due to the falter, but the damage is still there, closing out the fight in style. As for the results, we did end up winning the war 38-7, and again this was a bit of a mismatch in Alliance war matchmaking, but this whole season has been very weird in that regard. Everyone's been getting very, very weird matches, and I do feel a bit bad for our opponents, but that's just how the season is this time around, for whatever reason.